couple of hours drive for A few years ago, members of the iRacing V8 Supercar community came together to articulate an idea. Then, on August 10, 2014, the V8 Supercars Online Premier Series had its first race day at Circuit of the Americas, and Madison Down claimed the victory.
Madison Down, the winner. Phil Self second, Hampstead third, your podium, and Sean Kelly not far off it in fourth. What a result, what a race.
This first test season, however, would go to TTL's Richard Hampstead. 2015 was a defining year in V8SCOPS, the first year-long championship in iRacing V8 Supercar history. The season was filled with many highs and lows. Few drivers were triumphant, most faced heartbreak. Young gun Jared Philsell was crowned our champion. But in 2016, it's a new championship and a new opportunity for our passionate sim racers. Who will be champion?
Hello everyone and welcome to V8sonline Sim Speed TV's live broadcast of the 2016 Lenovo V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. We're bringing you a full night of racing and qualifying action tonight because this is the first round of the 2016 Endurance Cup. This is the Phillip Island 500. We've got support categories tonight as well as qualifying and the top 15 shootout for the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. Over 50 of Australia's best sim racers vying for the top spot and pole position for tomorrow's 500-kilometre race with 100 drivers and 50 teams competing. I'm Rhys Gardiner. Joining me in the commentary box to take you guys through qualifying is my good mate and V8sonline director Scott Fontaine. Fonty, welcome to the broadcast. Yeah, it definitely is. We've got drivers coming around in practice now, and might I say, the cars on track right now looking especially good. We've got a lot of teams running special liveries for the Endurance Cup. A couple of them good old retro liveries, as they do in the real V8s. Some of them just running one-off paint schemes. Very, very nice collection of cars out on track at the moment. We've currently got just over 7 minutes remaining in practice until we get into qualifying action to decide the first part of qualifying. Currently, up top of the timesheets is Hyperstimulated TTV 92, Joshua K. Rogers at the wheel of that car, and they've been the pace setters so far. Yeah, most definitely. It's going to be a very interesting Endurance Cup. We've got the Phillip Island 500, obviously, tomorrow, and then we've got the Bathurst 1000 in October, followed very, very closely by the Virginia 500, which is going to have the special qualifying format of 2 races to decide the grid. But of course, this one is going to be a trial run of the top 15 shootout, and it's just a case of the clock ticking down at the moment. Trans-Tasman Racing Blue currently in P2 with Sean Kelly at the wheel. Simworks Racing ANZ, Mitchell Sealak at the wheel of that car. And question is, who is going to take pole both in the current qualifying session and the shootout that's going to be coming after the support categories? Personally, I think my money's on Josh Rogers. He's always had tremendous one-lap pace in the V8 supercar, and he's definitely looking good for some nice positions in the qualifying session coming up, as he topped pre-qualifying. So. Yeah, I'm putting my bet on Josh Rogers. What about you, Fonzie?
Yeah, sorry about that, viewers. You wouldn't have heard me for a second there. I was muted on my computer back in NZ. Yeah, definitely. Jared Philsell, last year we saw him win this event. Drove an outstanding race, had an absolutely wicked setup. I was fortunate to race this event myself. With Richard Aylward, which we finished P9 last year. Joshua Rogers, mate, he's class of the field. I'm my picks on him for the top 15.
Yeah, certainly. But of course, in a 500-kilometer race, the race indeed is the one that counts. So we're going to see a lot of different teams come to the fore. Of course, there are teams out here for which their forte is endurance racing. So we'll definitely see some more names possibly coming to the fore. I'm noticing Car 1, ANZ Simworks number 1 with Jared Philsell currently at the wheel of that car, is in 5th place. A little bit lower than he probably would like to be, but still a very, very good position, and the times are reasonably close.
Yeah, well, another dark horse who has a lot of experience in the V8 supercar is Richard Hampstead. I reckon he could win one of these rounds of the Lenovo V8SCOPS Enduro Cup. Now, to keep in mind, we do have trophies up for offer for this event, not for this event, for this series, I should say, which we will show you a broadcast slide of that a bit later on.
Yeah, we certainly will. A very good investment. Those trophies that have been procured for this championship, very nice, giving the drivers something extra to fight for, and very nice looking trophies as well. But we're going to have to wait until the end of the year to see exactly who gets what. Another team we should probably draw your attention to that hasn't really been seen this far up the field so far is the Fusion Sim Racing guys. They're currently in 8th and 9th at the moment, 2 of their cars. The GT Omega Racing entries. They've put a lot of effort into preparing for this race, and their preparation is definitely showing. They managed to put one car up into 7th place in pre-qualifying, and they got 2 cars in the top 10 in practice so far. Keep a lookout for them.
Yeah, and we've had an outstanding amount of numbers of drivers entering for this Enduro Cup. I made the teams list up last night, and I filled in 102 drivers who registered their team for the events. So, no, really, really good turnout. I'm quite excited for the Bathurst 1000 in a few weeks' time. How about yourself, Reese?
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to Bathurst. It's always the one race that we look forward to all year. It's basically what to motor racing fans what the AFL Grand Final is to footy fans. So yeah, especially in sim racing, it's got a special power over drivers and spectators. And of course, having a laser scanned version of Bathurst on iRacing doesn't hurt at all.
So we're just following Jared Philsell as he comes around. I think he's going to be him and Kane Kugamir. They're a pretty good pair together, so they're definitely going to be ones to watch.
Yeah, they certainly are. Ever since Kane Kugamir joined ANZ, coming up to the start of this year, he's really shone in terms of pace, and he's been an incredibly good teammate to Jared Philsell, always getting up there some way or another. And consolidating a very good championship position as well, and Jared and Kane seem to work very nicely together. So obviously, with the fact that these are endurance races where you have 2 drivers per car, it is incredibly important to have a capable teammate, and Jared definitely has that in Kane. So we'll definitely be looking to see the number 1 car further up. As Jared Philsell rounds the final corner now, as the practice session is almost coming to an end, just going off the curb ever so slightly. Coming over the start-finish line, it's a 1:29.6. That's 3/10 slower than his fastest lap in the session so far. On a 1:29.3, he's got a little bit of a way to go to try and match the pace of the TTV car of Rogers on a 1:28.7, but the checkered flag does fly, so we've only got a few seconds to go before we tick over into the official first qualifying session that will decide all positions on the grid except for the top 15. Those cars are going to advance to the top 15 shootout, which will be shown after the 2 support races, which, by the way, just as the cars come out of the pits, look at that sea of cars coming out of the pits here at Phillip Island. We've got 2 support races coming up. One is Skip Barber, and the other is the Roof C-Spec Challenge. So we'll be seeing some different names in those races. But what is currently on your screen at the moment is a bunch of V8 supercars really jostling for position. Look at Rogers putting the move on a couple of cars into turn 2. He's very desperate to get some clear air there. We want to remind viewers that they can't afford to be too ragged on this outlap, because we do have the no escape rule in effect. Just like in real life, you have to return to the pits in this series after you're done with your qualifying lap. If you press escape while you're out on track, you cannot take further part in the session. So a little bit of extra care is indeed required. But leading the charge at the moment is Richard Hampstead in the Hyperstimulator TTL number 28 entry, coming up over Lukey Heights, up over the hill on this gorgeous Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Wonderful flowing fast track. Coming out of the second last turn now. And there's 1 4th gear turn to go. Just snatching 5th on the exit. Car is right on edge through here. And now they're coming down the start-finish straight for the first time in this session. And now, the heat is on. Oh, that's not really where you want a car to come out. Who is that? That was a very unfortunate re-entry of a car onto the track, but no matter. We have got half an hour's worth of qualifying to go. I'm taking a look at Rogers now. He's just squirming around a little bit in that car. Not sure he's much of a fan of... oh wait, there we go. The Torque Inc. entry of Mitchell McLeod very politely let him by, coming out of Siberia. Very well done. Rogers is free to complete his first campaign at trying to snatch pole position in this session. So they're coming out to the end of the lap as we speak. Richard Hampstead's going to be the first guy to set a time. What will it be? It's a 29.1. So
Not a bad time there by Richard.
not bad at all, but Rogers
just beats him
immediately
at a
smashes it. 28.7. Wow, that's even faster than he went in practice. That's quite good. Simworks Racing ANZ with Mitchell Cialak at the wheel, 29.1 in third. Trans-Tasman Racing to fourth. Jake Burton at the wheel of that car. A fairly significant driver pairing there, Jake Burton and Madison Down. Of course, Madison is not able to make Bathurst, so in order to get the maximum points possible in the Endurance Cup. He's not pairing with his usual teammate Lee Ellis. He's elected to pair with Jake Burton. Jake's going to be handling qualifying duties for that. Also in the top 10, FSR Fast Karts Racing Developments number 143, Dean O'Brien has put that car into 7th place, equaling the pre-qualifying position. Very good opening hand from those guys.
Yeah, another solid start to the qualifying. Cooper Murray sitting in P11. Cooper's got some amazing talent behind him for a young kid. Just recently joined ANZ about halfway through the year. Previous driver for Pro Force Racing. Yeah, I think we will see him have a solid result here.
Yeah, certainly. As Cooper Murray pulls into the pits, that's his first lap done and dusted. He'll be wanting to get back out there as soon as he can. Pipping him to 11th, however, is Kurt Stenberg in the FSR Dayco Motorsport number 47 car. He's going to come up to the start-finish line again, set a 1 minute 30.6, seconds slower than his initial time, but still, that's a very solid entry there from Mr. Stenberg.
One man we should focus on. Commentary helpers, Stephen Sandman Clark, he's sitting there in 17. Josh Muggleton, so these two will be a force to be reckoned with in this event.
Yeah, they certainly will. Josh Muggleton, we should remind viewers, if they don't know already, Muggleton is a GT Academy finalist and one of the guys to get some real-life racing action from that, so further proof that sim racing can get you places in the real-life motorsport world. But good old Stephen Clark is handling qualifying duties for that car at the moment. And as you said, Fonty, very, very solid in P18 at the moment. Top 20 is extremely good in this kind of field.
Just focus back here on Richard Aylward as he just completes a lap. Sitting in P46 at the moment. He qualified a little bit further up the field in pre-quali, I think somewhere in the mid-20s. So we can expect to see him go a little bit further up the field.
And we certainly can. Looks like he had a couple of problems on his initial laps, so hopefully he can get that sorted.
Brendan Hobson, P7. Not a bad effort from him.
Yeah, not bad at all for Synergy Sim Racing with that Eaton sponsorship there. Always was a fan of that livery. Nice and simple, nice colours.
Yeah, no, me too, Reese, mate. I've always thought that looked really, really smart. Certainly could be one of the contenders for the best presented team at the end of the year.
Yes, of course. That is an award that we have a trophy for. Has to be reminded. So, guys, make sure that you have your cars looking good, and you might have a shot at that award at the end of the year.
Hey, one person to mention, Sean Kelly, P3. Great effort from Sean. He's one of the driving forces behind a lot of the behind-the-scenes work with V8SCOPS. Does all the graphics and whatnot. We can't thank Sean enough for all the effort that he puts in. So great to see him sitting up there in P3.
Yeah, certainly providing a great service to this championship, and not a bad driver as well, as evidenced by the fact that he is indeed third. So putting that car up in a very, very nice position. Coming up to
Benjamin Smith. P6. Not a bad effort so far.
Yes, indeed. Incredibly good effort from the Evolution Racing Australia guys. We haven't seen very much of them recently in this championship, but they seem to have come back for the Endurance Cup. Very nice to see. That's the thing about this sort of session, like pre-qualifying for the few days before the race event is one thing, but this session is really the first that we actually see of how teams may do in this Endurance Cup. So it's very important to put your best foot forward in this initial stage of qualifying, and who knows, maybe get a bit of a psychological advantage over your competitors.
Yeah, well, I know that some of the guys have done a huge amount of laps. Josh Rogers, Jared was talking to him, and he reckons he's probably done over 300 laps preparing for this event. So it's certainly showing in the timesheets. 0.4 of a second faster than his buddy Richard Hampstead. Really taking it to them at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. The TTL organisation will be very happy with 1-2 so far in this session. We're coming up to a third of the session done and dusted. I'm noticing in P12, SDC Black with Paul Gorel at the wheel. Paul has been very pacey in the official V8 Supercar series that we broadcast on Monday nights, and looks like he's doing fairly well here as well. P12 on a 129.7.
Yeah, solid effort from him.
As
Lee Ellis, P21.
Ah, yes, Lee Ellis. Trans-Tasman Racing Red, so I believe he's pairing with Brock Salmon for the Enduros. Looks like a fairly even spread of times so far. From P1 to P40, it's a spread of about 3 seconds. Or 2 seconds, rather. Of course, Phillip Island is one of those circuits that's incredibly difficult to get right all the way around. It's a pretty short track, relatively speaking, but the amount of fast high-load corners it has and the amount of terrain that it follows in a car like the V8 Supercar that doesn't really handle fast corners all that well, it's incredibly hard to get a competitive lap around Phillip Island. So the amount of preparation that these guys have done for this race is absolutely immense. As Lee Ellis moves up a position to P21. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying that, yeah, we'll get to see all the history behind the Phillip Island race circuit on Reese's fact file. Reese puts together a fact file every round for us. They get better every round. We'd like to thank Reese for all the effort that he's in. I'd like to thank iRacing for jumping on board and sharing our fact file for this week. We've had some great and views so far, so I think that's be the same for the race.
Yeah, hope so. Definitely. It's I'm really pleased with the amount of positive feedback that we've gotten so far about our efforts to cover this series. And of course, it has the potential to only get better because we have got the Bathurst 1000 in only a few weeks. And I want to just correct myself briefly. Brock Salmon has told me that Lee Ellis is paired with Michael Healy for the Enduros. I'm sorry for that error. Brock is pairing with Sean, which I guess he should be fairly chuffed with, considering his teammate is in P3 at the moment, remaining P3.
Just riding along with Jake Burton, sitting P5 at the moment. He's currently on the lap.
Coming through Siberia at the moment. Now he's going to come up to Hayshed. This is a very challenging part of the track. This right-hander that he's coming through now is just flat out in a V8 Supercar. Very easy to lose the rear end through there. Lukey Heights, incredibly hard corner to get right. So easy to go wide over the crest. You've got to keep it tight and then keep it to the left-hand side of the circuit so that you get a nice line through that slow corner there. Second last turn. Constantly increasing speed. Now he's coming through the final turn. Jake currently in P5 on a 129.3. We'll see how he goes on this one. Back onto the start-finish straight. That's going to be a 1:35.139. I believe that either that may have been an outlap or he was, or he made a mistake. I'll tell you what, the Synergy Sim Racing guys have really improved their standing in qualifying. They are now sitting 7th and 8th at the present time. Very well done to them in the mid-29s.
Yeah, good bunch of guys at Synergy Sim Racing.
Of course, closer to the start of the year, they started a technical alliance with the ANZ squad, and that working together has really netted them some positive results this year. It's definitely showing in the Endurance Cup. Michael Schreier at the wheel of the CSR Fabrications Falcon, and Brenton Hobson still manning that Eaton Holden Commodore.
Yeah, and Brenton, he's a big driving force behind the ear. Teams, promo videos and whatnot, he's pretty good at making them.
Yeah, he
Scott
certainly
Connors,
is.
P7.
Ooh. Yep, that's another FSR car there, up in the top 10. 1:29.4, incredibly good time there. Let's have a quick look at the weather. Looks like track temperature is 38 degrees Celsius with southwest winds, so they got a bit of a tailwind down the start-finish straight. Not massive, but they're definitely giving them a little bit of a push. Of course, Scott Connors is fairly successful at Phillip Island. In the past, in last year's Phillip Island 500, he got into the top 15 shootout, and he is definitely looking to try and get back in this year. Looking in P13, meanwhile, Forzan El Nabi in Performance Motorsports White Holden Commodore. Forzan this season has definitely come to the fore. He's been involved in some very good battles all throughout the field, and gotten himself some very solid midfield results in his time driving for Performance Motorsports. So looking forward to seeing more from Forzan in that 097 car. Coming into the pits, getting ready to start a new run. We've ticked over the halfway point in this qualifying session now. Got a question from the broadcast chat by Chad Peterson. Have you road guys noticed much difference with the new track surface? Just for a bit of context, the iRacing build has only just ticked over to the Season 4 2016 build, and with those changes made to the sim, it's resulted in some changes to the way the dynamic track works and the way that heat is mapped on the dynamic track. Well, I can't really speak myself to those changes because I haven't done as much driving as I would like to, but I do know that some of my teammates at Fusion Sim Racing have reported that there seems to be a bit more lateral grip with the V8 supercar when driving around Phillip Island. So there is a noticeable difference to some drivers. I guess it depends on the driver, but it does feel quite good. Monty's just going for a pit stop. I'm just going to be on my own in the commentary box for just a little bit. Times are very, very close up the top, has to be said. Aside from the TTV car, way out ahead on that 128.697. We've got the TTL car in second on a 129.1. Trans-Tasman Racing Blue, Sean Kelly at the wheel, another 29.1. And Simworks ANZ, 129.186. So basically from P2 to P5, they're within a tenth of a second of each other, which is quite a significant number. Currently the cutoff point, the car in danger of, most in danger rather, of not getting into the top 15 shootout is the Evolution Racing Australia number 5 entry. Currently in 15th place, Luke Harvey at the wheel of that car. He is facing some stiff competition from everyone all the way back to P20. They're all in the 29.7s as well, so they'll be wanting to get a leg up on those competitors as well.
Yeah, you're certainly right, mate. Richard Arwood, we focused on him before. He's sitting back in P13 now, so he's looking good to make this top 15 shootout. Last year when I ran with him, we just missed out. We finished P16, so we were a bit gutted that happened, but him and Jordan Murphy, I think, have teamed up for this one, so they should be a pair to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they certainly should, and they're safe in the top 15 shootout by a mere few positions. I want to draw attention to a team that we haven't really taken much of a look at recently. The 333 car, iRace Engineering, with Sanjin Dilalik at the wheel as he comes into the pits now. That's that number 333 car carrying sponsorship from Bonus Lawns. He drives with Graham Bones Filand in that car, and they are just outside the top 30 at the moment. They would probably like to be higher, but nevertheless, even qualifying for, even pre-qualifying, sorry, rather, for a race like this is an achievement in and of itself. We had 64 teams try to qualify for this race, and of course only 50 teams would make it in. So that's 14 teams, 28 drivers that will not get a chance to race in this series. That's how big the competition is. That's how significant it is to even get into this qualifying session now. So really speaks to the talent of the field that we've got.
Yeah, just looking back there in P34, Simon Feigl from Evolution Racing Australia. He's another one of the GT Academy entries, I believe.
Not too sure about that, but he has been doing very well recently for ERA. Of course, Evolution Racing Australia seem to have a knack for drawing the attention of former GT Academy winners. They've got quite a few in their ranks. Simon doing very well there in P35. Very, very close with his 000 Evolution Racing Australia teammates. Coming into the hairpin now. This hairpin is so difficult to brake for in the V8 Supercar. You've got Stoner Corner just before it, that long sweeping left-hander that should be flat out, but sometimes the car just wants to buck out on you.
Josh Rogers still miles in front of the rest of the field. Still 0.4 in front of his mate Richard Hampstead.
I get the feeling the track might be getting a bit slower as the session has gone on, because we haven't really seen much of an alteration in the times of people throughout the field. The top 4 in particular, top 5 even, has stayed pretty much the same for most of the session. Now, as we just go under 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session, it's going to be crunch time for those guys around the P13 to P18 area. They're going to be the ones to watch, see if they can get into the top 15 shootout. Currently looking to get into that is Lee Ellis. He's only, my goodness, 9 thousandths of a second away from from getting into P15. That's almost nothing. That's like getting on the accelerator just a couple of meters earlier in one corner, and he's into the top 15. So it'll be interesting to watch as he comes around to start another lap. He's getting a bit of a draft there, it seems, from Jake Burton. Coming up to Stoner Corner. Oh, they got a little bit of traffic. It's not what they want. But Jake Burton promptly lets Lee Ellis by. That's basically all his draft is going to give him. We'll see what Mr. Ellis can do in the Trans-Tasman Red number 48 car. Oh dear, we've got Scott Connors requesting an escape, and it seems it has been granted. So Scott Connors can't take any further part in that session, but fortunately he's put his car into P7, so for the time being it seems he is safe in the top 15 shootout. Going back to Mr. Ellis though. He's coming through the second last corner now, just exited it. Now this is make or break time for Ellis. We'll see what he can do here. All he needs is a 10th and he's safe. Across the start-finish line he comes. There's a 29.9. He has not been able to improve. He'll only have a couple of opportunities left. It's so tantalizingly close to the top 15.
Yeah, I know exactly how he feels being in this position. It's, God, it's so hard, especially when you've only got 3 minutes left and pressure's on you and your teammates kind of think, yeah, can't go, come on mate, you know, so, yeah, I know how he feels, mate, but yeah, hopefully you can make it up there.
Yeah, certainly. It seems that the track is, thanks to 50 cars at once out on track, heating the track up to a fair degree. Seems like the track has lost a fair bit of grip, and drivers have not been able to improve on their times as much as they would have liked to. Seems like in circumstances like this, your first lap is going to be your quickest, and Lee has just gone across a little bit of dirt at Lukey Heights. So if he wasn't already on an in-lap, that lap is ruined.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get another opportunity either.
Yeah, we're just coming up to 28 minutes left. Remember, a lap around here is about a minute and a half. Lee Ellis coming across the start-finish line once again. And it's a 1 minute 30.1. Really not where he wants to be. How frustrated must Lee Ellis be in that car? How frustrated must everyone down to P22 be? They're all within a 10th of getting into the top 15, all of them. And all they have to do is just find a little bit of extra time, and they could be there. at the moment it looks like the times are fairly static. We've got just under 1 minute to go. So this is the time now. I have a feeling that the top 15 is pretty much set. I don't think we'll see any surprise drivers getting their way into the top 15 at this rate anyway. And Josh Rogers is just sitting in the pits because I have the feeling that he knows his time can't be matched and he's secured pole in this session and a ticket to be the last one out in the top 15 shootout.
And Phil just coming around to complete his last lap. Currently sitting P5, his teammate Mitchell Selak in P4. It's not a sight we see often. We don't often see Selak faster than Phil Selak.
Yes.
But Jared has made it into the top 15, so he gets one more opportunity to put it on that front row.
He certainly does, and while you're talking about Selak, I've been incredibly impressed with his pace lately. Oh, Jared Filsell just had a little bit of a slide in the braking area for that hairpin, so that's qualifying over for him. Well, I guess that's that. The track is going to fall quiet now as cars complete their final in-laps. It seems like every position from P16 all the way back to P49 is done. That's going to effectively be your field. So, as we see drivers disconnecting from the server,
one person who I'm a little bit surprised isn't a bit further up the field is Mitchell McLeod. He's down there in 29th position. Him and Hayden Dodman have teamed up for this Enduro series. These guys don't really do too much practice, not compared to a lot of the other guys out there anyway. So he's P29, but I'm sure that we will see them come up through the field in the race.
Yeah, we most certainly will. They're very passionate about their racing, those talking guys, so definitely have a look out for them. But it looks like the session is indeed over, so I think maybe it's time to run through the results. So Joshua Rogers is your pole man by a fair margin on a 28.69, about 3/10 back. He's got his hyperstimulator TTL teammate Richard Hamstead putting the number 28 in second position. Trans Tasman Racing Blue is going to line up third. Simworks Racing ANZ fourth. Fifth, ANZ Simworks number 1. Phil Sell and Kugamiya in that car. Trans Tasman Racing UKS number 77 in 6th. The 93 FSR GT Omega Racing entry is going to line up 7th in this initial session. Evolution Racing Australia 8th. 9th Synergy Sim Racing 1. 10th Synergy Sim Racing 2. Hyperstimulator TTLV car 888. I believe it was Jake Maloney driving that car in 11th place. FSR Fast Karts Racing Development lining up 12th, ANZ Simworks 49 in 13th, P14 Performance Motorsports White, P15 Evolution Racing Australia number 5. Those are the cars that you will see in the top 15 shootout in an hour and a bit's time. So the first of the cars for which their position is well and truly set for tomorrow's race. Trans Tasman Racing Red in 16th, 17th FSR GT Omega Racing 82 ERA, again in P18, SDC Black in 19th. Number 47, Daco Motorsport entry in 20th. ANZ Simworks, number 16 in 21st. Laser Racing in 22nd. JMSR 6-Boost Racing, I believe that's Corey Preston and Dale Niche in 23rd. Trans-Tasman Racing Black, Stephen Clark and Josh Muggleton are going to be lining up in 24th position. FSR GT Omega Racing, number 4 in 25. V8 Sleuth Racing, that's a very significant entry. Henry King and a couple of mates from Oceanic Sim Racing getting some sponsorship from V8 Sleuth, which is a very good source for obscure V8 supercar news. In 26th position, 27th, ERA, number 85. SDC Motorsports, number 9 in 28th. In 29th, we've got the Talk Inc. entry. McLeod and Dodman, ABR Team Simulated, number 1 and 30th. 31st position, Performance Motorsports Red. 32nd, Performance Motorsports Green. 333 iRace Engineering, lining up 33rd. Threes all over the place. 34th is number 35, Kronos Sim Racers Orange. Evolution Racing Australia 000 and 35th. 36th, All-Star Motorsports. Performance Motorsports Gold, 37th. 38th, Evolution Racing Australia. 39th, Evolution Racing Australia, again, number 226. Rounding out your top 40 is All-Star Motorsports Red. And the final positions, number 127, FSR Fast Karts Racing, V8 Sleuth Racing, number 88, Synergy Sim Racing 3, ABR Simulated 4, Synergy Sim Racing 4, ERA number 026, SimSpec Engineering All-Star Motorsports in 47th, 48th, Synergy Sim Racing 5, and rounding out your grid is going to be the FSR Daco Motorsport number 17. So that is your full grid for most of the grid anyway, but coming up soon after our support category races, we've got the Skip Barber coming up and the Porsche Super Cup coming up after that. Then we'll have the top 15 shootout. So keep an eye out for that. I think I've got a race to turn up for because I'm going to be racing in the Skippies. I'm going to hand it back to you guys.
Thanks, Reese, mate. Cheers for calling that qualifying session. We've got Lee Ellis joining us in the commentary box for this Skip Barber support race.
Hey, Fonzie.
How you going, Lee, mate? A little bit disappointing there. You slightly missed out on that one, mate.
Yeah, very disappointing.
Yeah, we were following you there for your last few laps, mate. You were trying your best, but couldn't quite make it. The track looked to have got a bit slower. Is that the case?
Yeah, it was pretty much the first few laps were it for the qualifying, and then the track just went completely downhill from there. Didn't quite get a good enough banker in, and somehow managed to fluke that 717, but just needed to be a few thousandths faster. Would have snuck in, but at least we know it's a long race, so go from there.
Yeah, so we have the support race 1 qualifying for the Skip Barber coming up at 7:15 Australian Eastern Time. Then we go on to a 25-minute race. We will then go into the second support race of the evening, which is the Rough Cup. That will also be a 15-minute qualifying session, and then a 25-minute race. Then we will go into the top 15 shootout at around about 9:15 Australian Eastern Time. So it's going to be an exciting event tonight, and then obviously we go into the Phillip Island 500 event tomorrow. So you're looking forward to this event, Lee?
Oh, definitely. I'm not starting the race, so I've got a few commitments just before the race starts, but it's definitely going to be very good. And if the racing's as good as qualifying, we're going to have a really, really good race on our hands.
Yeah, no worries. Well, we might just go on to a little break while we wait for the server to come up for the Skip Barber race, and we'll be back with you soon.
A few years ago, members of the iRacing V8 Supercar community came together to articulate an idea. Then, on August 10, 2014, the V8 Supercars Online Premier Series had its first race day at Circuit of the Americas, and Madison Down claimed the victory.
Madison Down, the winner. Phil Self second. Hampstead third. Your podium. And Sean Kelly not far off it in fourth. For what a result. What a race.
This first test season, however, would go to TTL's Richard Hampstead. 2015 was a defining year in V8SCOPS, the first year-long championship in iRacing V8 Supercar history. The season was filled with many highs and lows. Few drivers were triumphant. Most faced heartbreak. Young gun Jared Philsell was crowned our champion. But in 2016, it's a new championship and a new opportunity for our passionate sim racers. Who will be champion?
Barely off the coast of Victoria, a couple of hours' drive from Melbourne and located right on the cliffside, the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit is a popular and classic Australian motorsports venue. Its lap is fairly short, but the speed and flow of this track is unmatched by any other circuit in Australia. Starting and ending with high-speed, high-load turns, and with heavy braking zones and flowing terrain-hugging bends in between, Phillip Island has served as an example of what a high-speed racetrack can be for over 60 years. Phillip Island's story begins before the current circuit was built. Racing on Phillip Island began in 1928. A rectangular circuit made out of the roads around the township of Cowes was used for the 100 miles road race, which is now considered the first Australian Grand Prix. A variety of layouts were used until 1936, upon which a new triangular layout was used until 1940. Racing activities then ceased as a result of World War II. In 1951, a group of local businessmen got together to build a permanent circuit on Phillip Island. The Phillip Island Auto Racing Club was formed to finance the building of what was intended to be Australia's first international Grand Prix circuit. 7,000 memberships at £10 each were sold to finance the track. The design brief was simple: create the fastest circuit in Australia. Every turn was to be designed to make the fastest and most challenging layout possible. The original design was pretty much exactly the same as what was eventually built, but with one major difference. The direction was clockwise. It drew the skepticism of the investors, because the proposed start of the lap complied with Victorian road safety regulations, which required a bend of a certain speed to gradually get slower as it continued. This went against the vision of the club, who did not want this kind of gradually slowing turn, so a simple solution was then proposed: reverse the circuit's direction. Thus, Phillip Island was set in stone, or rather Earth, when an Alfa Romeo traced the route of the track and certified it as above the 3-mile minimum length for international circuits. The construction of the track was fraught with delays and engineering hurdles, one of which was largely due to the bridge connecting the island to the mainland, which before the 1980s was not strong enough to hold the weight of the massive surfacing machinery needed to surface the track with durable hot mix bitumen. This forced the owners of the track to use cold mix bitumen, which in time would not stand up to the pounding it would receive from cars racing on it. The circuit finally opened in 1956 to an overwhelmingly positive reception. The status of the track quickly grew and culminated